Hi, welcome to the channel Too Rational. I'm Pranay Sharma, and in this video we are going to see the detailed solutions of CM1 paper B conducted by IFoA Institute in April 2024. We'll solve the complete solutions together here, but if you want the solution sheet, I would leave a number below where you should WhatsApp or Telegram your email ID and ask for CM1 solutions, and we will email you the same. If you find any mistakes, please comment that below. I'll try to reply as soon as possible. And let's get started. Question number 1. A company has been presented with two alternative business projects A and B. The company must decide which of the two projects to invest in. The project year-end cash flows for the two projects are given in question 1 base worksheet. Calculate the internal rate of return for each project. Now here is our base sheet. Those cash flows are also given here, and we are supposed to solve 1, 2 and 3 together. We'll read the second and the third part as well. The company sets an internal target for the rate of return at 4.5% per annum effective. Calculate for each project the present value of the net cash flows at the target rate of return, that is NPV. And third is calculate for each project the discounted payback period at the target rate of return. So we have to find IRR, then NPV and DPP at 4.5% per annum. So first thing, I'll assume IRR be 5%, then I'll use goal seek to find those values for both of them. Do the same, and we can directly find the present value. So I'll say present value at IRR directly, because the outflows as well as inflows are given together, so we can use that. 1 plus the rate of interest, fix it, raised to minus year, and we can complete the data. I want this to be 0 by changing IRR, so I'm going to use goal seek. Data, what if analysis, goal seek. I want this value to be 0 by changing cell. Decimal places, 9.18%. I'll do the same thing here. Same thing, goal seek. Increase the decimal places. So 9.64 for B and 9.18 for A. Now at rate of interest of 4.5%, we have to find the NPV. So let's say present value at I. Just say the same thing, cash flow into 1 plus rate of interest, fix it, raised to minus year, and that is our NPV. Same thing I'll do here. This is the net present value for both of them. Now for DPP, we'll require the cumulative present value. So cumulative present value, first value will be as it is, then the second value will say previous plus this value. Do that for all. Same thing I'll do here. First value as it is, then second value previous plus the second value, and here we go. So DPP is going to be the first term, that is going to be positive. So this is the DPP, the year. So year is 17, and in this case year is 14. Now we'll write the answers here. IRR, and for DPP this was 17 years. It was 14 years. For the last part, the company decides which project to invest in based on the internal rate of return, the present value, and the cash flow and the discounted payback period. Explain with reference to your answer to part 1, 2 and 3 which project the company should invest in. So they have given you 8 marks, so you should have at least 5 to 6 good points to comment about it. So the first thing I have written here is the observation, the internal rate of return, NPV and DPP. Then as IRR of B is greater than IRR of A and DPP of B is less than DPP of A, project B has an advantage in these criteria, but NPV of A is greater than NPV of B, hence the project A has an advantage. So we'll give both of them. We'll say for a large company with no capital constraints, it will always choose to invest in project with higher NPV, that is project A. For a company with limited capital, it is more important to generate higher rate of return for the project, that is project B. For a company with limited capacity of risk, it is advisable to invest in a project which will return the time value of investment at the earliest, that is project B. So all the 3 types of companies I have listed, and which one should they choose. Now the other criteria that the company may consider is the initial investment, loan rate of interest and availability and inflation. Let's go to question number 2. Question number 2. An endowment assurance policy is issued to a life age 45 exact for a term of 20 years. Under this policy, the sum assured payable at the end of the year of death is 10,000 for the first 10 years and 20,000 for the subsequent 10 years. Complete the mortality table using the heading provided in worksheet 2.1. And later we have to calculate the expected present value and also the variance of the benefits. The force of mortality seems to be constant for all time and the rate of interest is 5% per annum effective. So first we have to make the mortality table. Mu is constant for all these ages, so we'll have exp raised to minus, so exp minus this, I need to fix it. It's going to be the same throughout. TPX for year 1, you want 1px, that will be equal to this. 2px will be equal to the previous value into this value and so on, and q will just be 1 minus px. The second and the third part, we need to find the expected present value as well as the variance. So here I'll just bring these values. So we'll require year and the cash flows. Cash flows specifically 10,000 for the first 10 years and then 20,000. Discounting factor equal to bracket 1 plus the rate of interest, fix it, raised to minus year, and expected present value, which is equal to the cash flow into given at the end of the year, so discounting for 1 year into first year, we'll just say probability that the person died within the first year. Then next, cash flow into discounting factor into probability that the person survived the first year and died in the second year. So here we get the expected present value. Now we can calculate the expected present value square. Expected present value square, we'll have cash flow square into, we have discounting square, and then rest is exactly the same. Probability will not be squared. So again, cash flow square into discounting square into probability that the person survived the first year and then died in the second year. Adding both these columns and then the variance. This expected present value I'll say is equals to this, and variance I should write it here. This was the second part, equals to this, and then the variance was the third part. Could be expected present value square minus expected present value raised to 2. Write them in answers. We don't have to write the first one. Is equal to let's go to question number 3. Question number 3, an insurance company sells a combined loan and decreasing term assurance policy to house buyers. The level premium are payable annually in arrears to cover the cost of decreasing term assurance, the interest due on the loan, and the repayment of the loan. The question 3 base worksheet contains all assumptions used. A house buyer age 32 exact purchases a 30-year policy with a loan of 200,000. Calculate the loan outstanding at the beginning of each policy year. So we are going to just make the loan schedules. See, here they are talking about the term assurance. For the part 1 we don't need any of these information. We just need the interest rate, that is 5.5% per annum for loan. In part 1 just make the loan schedules. Here are the titles. Policy is going for 30 years. So the loan will also go for 30 years. Starting we had 200,000. Installment we'll assume first, and then later on we'll use goal seek to find it. Interest component is going to be our rate of interest. Rate of interest for loan was 5.5%. Interest component is going to be the loan outstanding at the beginning into the rate of interest and fix that value. Capital component would be installment minus the interest component, and loan outstanding at the end would be loan outstanding at the beginning minus the capital component. Then loan outstanding at the beginning of the second year is nothing but loan outstanding at the end of the first year. Now I want loan outstanding after 30 years to be 0, so I will use goal seek. By changing cell installment. So I get this installment, it's not important, we just wanted loan outstanding at the start of the year. Okay, this column is going to be important for us. For the second part, at the beginning of each policy year, the sum assured for the decreasing term assurance is set equal to the loan outstanding at that time. So clearly sum assured of that decreasing term assurance is the loan outstanding at the beginning of the year. Calculate the annual premium for this policy. Now, to calculate the annual premium, one thing is very important. Level premium are payable annually in arrears. So we usually have premium payable annually in advance. Here it is in arrears. We have to make sure we take that into account. Here in base, we can see term assurance interest rate is 3.5. There are no expenses, no surrender. Adjustment to mortality is plus 5 years. That means we are supposed to start from age 32, but plus 5 we are going to get 37. Mortality table is given here, and they are saying the company sets the level annual premium for the decreasing term assurance by equating the expected present value of premium and the expected present value of benefit. So we'll just find EPV of premium and benefit, equate them to find the premium using goal seek. We'll solve it in this question 3, second part. Let's make the table for it. So we have 30 years policy. Age is starting from 32. Adjusted age is plus 5. I'll just do this plus 5. And according to this, we'll calculate the QX. QX is nothing but D37 by L37. That's QX. PX will just be 1 minus QX. And then TPX at time 0 it will be 1. First year I'll say above into first year's probability. Here we go. Discounting factor. Rate of interest for this was 3.5%. One plus I, fix it, raised to minus year. Sum assured is equals to, we'll take it from this loan outstanding at the start. Premium I'll write here because we'll use goal seek later on to find the actual premium. So I have just written it as 1000. Expected present value of benefit, it is 200,000. That is the sum assured into the discounting factor into probability that the person was alive in the previous year and died in this year. A premium is going to start in arrears, that means end of first year. So is equals to this premium, I'll fix it into discounting factor into probability that the person should have survived the end of the year. I will find the sum for both of them and we'll equate these two to make them as to change this premium. So I'll make here net is equal to this minus this. So I would want this net to be equal to 0 by changing premium using goal seek. So here we go, net is 0 and the premium is 403.961. For the third part, a colleague has pointed out a potential risk to the insurance company regarding the timing of the premium payments in the first year. That is because it was annually in arrears. So the problem would be only in the first year because We are not paying the premium at the beginning of the first year. So outline the problem. This is 3 marks. So we'll say the policy should start only after the first premium is paid. Here the premium is paid in arrears. The policy holder dying in the first year will get the benefit without paying any premium. Hence the premium should be payable in advance. Let's see the next question. Question number 4. A life insurance company offers 20-year unit-linked endowment assurance to life age 30 exact. Premium of 2000 per annum are payable annually in advance for the term of the policy or until the payment of any benefit if earlier. The death benefit payable at the end of the year of death is the greater of 15,000 and the value of the unit. So the guaranteed benefit is 15,000. On maturity, the value of the unit is payable, so we don't have to worry about the maturity cost because we are only paying the unit values. Assurance includes an additional critical illness benefit. On diagnosis of a critical illness, the value of the units is payable immediately and all cover ceases. So again, for in the non-unit table, we don't have to consider the critical illness benefit because we are only paying the unit values. The level allocation rate is 95%. The remaining policy terms and the profit test assumptions are held on question 4 base worksheet. Calculate the unit fund at the end of each policy year. So here are the bases. First of all, unit growth rate would be important for the unit fund. Bid offer spread, annual management and allocation rate. That's it. And annual premium. These are the only things that are going to be important for the unit fund. They have already made this table for us. Here I'll just write down the rates. Bid offer spread 1%. This is 0.5%. And the rate of interest, that is unit growth rate, is 4%. So fund at the start would be 0, premium is 2000, allocation is 95%, bid offer spread says negative, allocated premium into the rate, that is 1%, fix it. I have taken the bid offer spread and AMC. I am going to take it as negative cash flows. You can write it as positive cash flows as well. So fund at the end year before AMC deductions. So that is after growth. So equal to, in bracket, I will take fund at the start plus allocated premium plus bid offer spread into bracket 1 plus the rate of interest. Fix it. That would be the growth of the unit. Then out of that we are deducting the AMC. So I will take minus this into this rate, and fund at the end will be equal to fund before AMC plus AMC because I have already taken it as negative. Fund at the start of the second year would be same as fund at the end of the first year. Just complete the table and this will be a unit fund table. Second part, calculate the dependent rate of mortality and critical illness for each year of the policy and the probability that the maturity benefit is paid. So here they have given us independent mortality rates and independent critical illness rate. So because we have both decrements, we will have to calculate the mu for each one of them. Using that, I'll calculate APX and then AQ for both one. We also calculate T minus 1 APX for later on. So mu XD will be equal to minus log of 1 minus Q for death, independent rate of mortality. It's going to be the same for here, and complete the table. APX will be equal to EXP minus of mu XD minus mu XI. Then AQXD would be equal to mu XD upon bracket mu XD plus mu XI into bracket 1 minus APX. Then AQXD would be equal to mu XI upon bracket mu XD plus mu XI into bracket 1 minus APX. This is how we'll calculate the dependent probabilities. And T minus 1 APX, first would be 1, then previous into probability of survival of the first year. So this is going to be T minus 1 APX, that is 19 APX. So I want 20 also, so I will go 1 year more, because that is what they have asked. Here in B, the probability that the maturity benefit is paid, that would be 20 APX. So I'll write here B, and of course I will also write that in the answer at the end. For the third part, the company decides to set a new level allocation rate such that the present value of the profit is equal to the 10% of the annual premium. All other policy terms and assumptions remain unchanged. Calculate the new allocation rate. So here in part 3, they have made the unit fund. We don't know the allocation rate. I will assume it to be, let's say, 90%. Write it 90% here, whatever it might be. Then bid offer spread and everything else is exactly same. So 1% for bid offer spread, 4% unit fund, and 0.5% AMC. Now let's quickly make the unit fund exactly the same way that we did in the previous one. I will take the allocation rate from here so that I can use goal seek later on to find the actual allocation rate. And then we'll complete the table. Here we have the funds. Now again, I had assumed the allocation rate, and later on I will be using goal seek to find that. Now the non-unit fund table is not completed here, but let's start making whatever is given. So non-allocated premium would be premium minus allocated. Bid offer spread here is going to be positive because it is an inflow, so minus of this value because I had taken negative in the unit fund. And expense and commission, we'll look at that from the base. So initial expense 75, renewal 25, initial commission 50%, and renewal commission is 1% of the premium. So expense, I'll take it as negative. Commission, again negative. 50% of the premium, then 1% of the premium. Now, okay, there's a problem here. The premium, it was supposed to be 2000 for each one of them. It just did this. Everything is fine. Next, we will have interest we'll have death benefit or death cost to us, and there will not be any maturity cost, there will not be any ill health cost. We don't have a claim expense. There is no claim expense, so we don't have to consider that as well. We'll just have AMC back here and then profit vector. So these are all the columns that we'll require. So, okay, the rate of interest I'll have to look up in the base. So returns on the non-unit balance is 1% and risk discount rate is 7%. 1% here and risk discount rate here, I'll write it as 7%. Interest equal to sum all of these into the rate of interest, and I'll fix it. Death cost, we have guaranteed 15,000, it's a negative cash flow, so equal to minus, it's a max of guaranteed 15,000, so 15,000 minus the fund, because we'll pay either the difference between that 15,000 and the fund, or we'll pay 0. That means we'll just pay the fund value that does not come out of the non-unit fund, so comma 0 into probability of death, that is part 2, AQXT. Here we go, that is our death cost. AMC will be equal to minus of this because it's a positive cash flow in the non-unit fund table, and profit vector will just be sum of all of this. This is the main reason I keep the cash flows positive and negative. I don't have to do plus and minus later, I can just do sum. Here we go, profit signature would be equal to profit vector into T-1 APX and discounting factor at 7%. 1 plus is the rate of interest, fix it, raised to minus of policy year, and NPV will just be profit signature into discounting factor. We'll add them all up. This NPV is supposed to be 10% of single premium. That is what the question said. Okay, so you can see here the present value of profit is equal to 10% of the annual premium, that is 10% of 2000, and using that we have to find that new level allocations. It's a percentage of premium is equals to this divided by 2000. 2000 is the premium, and I will write it in percentage. There we go. We want this to be 10%. So we'll use goal seek data. What if analysis, goal seek, to value 0.1 by changing cell. This is the allocation rate. So we got 98%. I want more decimal places. So we have 98.14%. We'll write that as answer here. So I just write allocation rate is equal to, so that they can find the answer properly. And of course, I will write it at the end in question 4 answer part as well. Last part, determine without performing any further calculation if the company should hold non-unit reserve for this contract. It's just of 2 marks. So you can see here our profit vectors. We had negative only in the first year, and then later on we just have positive cash flows. So we'll comment accordingly. We'll say company holds reserve so that the profit in initial years can be used to compensate for losses in later years. Here the loss occurs only in first year and later years experience profit. There is no need to keep non-unit reserve. That completes our paper here. Overall, the paper was very straightforward. Only the arrears premium one that was in, I think, question number 3 was something that was confusing. Otherwise, the paper was very straightforward. The CM1 paper A was also very straightforward and easy. You can check out the solution video in the channel. I'll leave it in the description as well. Overall, we can expect a very high passing mark this time. 60, maybe above 60 as well. If you find any mistake, leave them in the comments. I'll check them out and reply as soon as possible. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.